Michael Wallace is the V8 touring car scene's southern man. The long haul north for the Dunedin 41-year-old on all but 2 of the 7 rounds eats into the Rock FM team's modest budget. Wallace gets by though with a lot of help from his dad Colin.
Well, our main focus is Dad's building all the engines now. We've built the race car. Our whole team's focused on doing everything in-house because we can't afford to get other people, but we're also working with the Andersons and Ken Hoppy, and we're actually teaming up as a big group to help out, and they've got a lot of respect for Colin and what his abilities are, and we're moving forward. We've got another new engine that's going in after this meeting.
Wallace was an accomplished kart racer when he was younger.
We've come through karting with good mates with Greg Murphy, Shane Drake, you know, the late Ashley, and you know, we've raced against all those guys. I've competed in Australia and right throughout New Zealand, and we've got heaps of titles to our name in karting, but coming into the car racing scene's a different ball game. They're not karts. They're a lot harder to get around the track, and also you're dealing with a lot more money. You can't afford to have an off, otherwise it costs you a fortune. So whereas in karting, you know, you break something that's a few $100s, and these things you break something that's a few thousand.
Wallace and the team live for the likes of their Timaru showing, picking up a standout 7th place.
We're an all in-house team, we're low budget, but to compete against some of these other guys and get a top 10, you know, a top 10 finish like in Timaru, it's a great achievement, and we finished right up there with top guys that are spending the real big dollars. So as soon as you've done that, we've actually gained a lot of respect from some of those other guys as well. So yeah, and also it is fun. The team enjoy it, and you know, it's a good thing to be involved in.
The field's out on the track here at Teretonga, getting ready for race 3 of the Parker NZ V8s at the Southern meeting. This race, of course, is a reverse grid start, a reverse grid of the top 10, that is. That puts Kane Scott back down the order somewhere, probably about 10th place. It's going to make for an interesting start, always is, in these very, very highly competitive cars. There's the helmet. Can't see the face of Paul Radisich, the man who won the last race here.
David Thexton looking pretty calm and relaxed.
He's midfield as well. No, in fact, he's further back than that, outside the top 10. The reverse top 10 order decided by virtue of your points accumulated in the first 2 races. And it puts Clark Proctor on pole. Has had a good run here today. Michael Shepherd alongside of him. Then it's Andrew Anderson and Angus Fogg.
Third row of the grid, we've got Nick Ross in 5th. Alongside him, Dean Perkins in 6th. Followed by Brady Kennett and Andy Booth in 8th.
Race 2 winner Paul Radisich will start 9th in his United Video Falcon alongside race 1 winner Kane Scott. Then it's Dale Lambert and Craig Boot 11th and 12th.
In 13th place we have Michael Tom. Alongside him, front runner from last season Paul Pedersen in the Celtics Haviland Falcon. 15th David Thexton, followed by Michael Wallace in 16th.
Getting ready for the start. Let's see how Clark Proctor can handle the pressure. Got 11th place in that last race, a pretty impressive performance on one of his first meetings in the V8 touring cars. Out of stock cars, doing a good job at the start, but maybe he's going to get passed by there. This is the view from Dean Perkins, back in the middle of that bunch. Oh, this is tight. Michael Shepherd trying the long way around on the Caltex Haviland car. It's not going to work. In fact, there's Nick Ross goes off the edge. He tried to go too wide by the look of it and did a little bit of an assist. Now Angus Fogg is off on the grass as well.
Yes, good even start there. Clark Proctor, Michael Shepherd. See, Michael Shepherd lost a place, back to 3rd place.
This is on board with Paul Radisich in the United Video car, right in behind Brady Kennett. And looks like Brady Kennett's getting a bit of a squeeze from the side of his side as well. Angus Fogg outside of him. We saw Fogg already off on the grass. Oh, Brady Kennett hard on the brakes there. And again. And now he's copped a hit and he's got turned around, taking Fogg with him. Oh, now that is a contentious one.
Yes, reverse grid start. There's always a possibility this could happen. Let's see it again.
This is the view from Kane Scott's car.
Inside, there's Paul Radisich coming down into the right-hander. And the squeeze is on. Bang! There it is, inside into Angus Fogg. Nowhere to go. Just one of those things.
It did look like one of those things. Meantime, out front, Clark Proctor holding down the lead from Andy Anderson. This is the view from Dean Perkins' car in 4th place, in behind Michael Shepherd's Caltex Haviline car.
Clark Proctor doing it very easily out front. Speaking to him before the race, he was a case of nerves. He just told me he was going to get out there, put his head down and go, and he's certainly doing that.
Yes, the 45-year-old seems to be doing a very good job coming to grips with that car. He does, of course, have the help of Don Grindley, a long-time Trans Am racer who's running that team.
Yes, long pedigree in motorsport, Clark Proctor. Originally motocross with me back in the 70s, stepped into stock cars, very competitive, and then just recently Targa New Zealand.
Good fight going on here. This is the pressure coming from Nick Ross on the back of Dean Perkins in the midfield. And here we go with a replay from the start. Let's check it out. You see the pressure taken by Clark Proctor from Andy Anderson, tucked in right behind him, probably touching the back bumper. Here's Kane Scott's view of things. Oh, look at that. He got a great run off the start line, straight past Andy Booth, now catching up with Dean Perkins. What a fantastic start.
Yes, Kane's got to be careful out here, hanging out to dry out right. Careful not to cop a hit, and just about did then.
Brady Kennett it was who got loose on the inside. This is onboard view with Paul Pedersen of the start. He's got Michael Tom on the inside, got one of his teammates on the right-hand side, Michael Shepherd that'll be.
And this is not the area you want to be on the start grid for the last race, because up in front, as you can see, the main protagonists, Kane Scott, Paul Radisich, really trying to force their way through.
Oh, you can see that touch there, and that has sent someone off to the outside, Nick Ross by the look of it.
These guys are playing for keeps.
Out front, Clark Proctor doing a very good job. He'll be really feeling very happy with himself that he can take this pressure. Andy Anderson applying all he can, but Proctor just maintaining that little gap he got right from the start.
Yes, always been competitive right from that, as I mentioned.
Oh, someone's lost it on the inside. Dean Perkins completely lost it going into the corner. I don't know whether he got an assist from behind or not, but just came in there at 1,000,000 miles an hour. Let's look at the replay. There you go. Just flies across the corner. Either a loss of brakes or else he got shunted in the back, but there doesn't look to be any damage until now.
That's a big hit, though. I think actually did it on his own accord. It appeared to... Here we go, in car. Let's see what happens. On the brakes, there's a fault there for sure. There's something gone. He was very lucky.
No brakes, maybe, because that just continued on at unabated speed without any assistance from behind.
Clark Proctor taking advantage of that skirmish behind and taking more of a lead. Andy Anderson sitting in second.
Trouble looming, though, because Paul Radisich, one of the guys who's been very, very quick here at Teretonga, looming up behind, and tucked in behind him, Kane Scott. So the two guys have already won a race today, starting to come through the pack and maybe trying to get up towards the front. In fact, it's not Kane Scott, it's Nick Ross tucked in behind Paul Radisich.
Now, the other thing these guys have to contend with in this race is the fact that it's 16 laps. Unlike the 10-lap earlier races, they've got to think about preserving tyres.
Oh, someone up ahead's losing rubber off their tyres, and Andrew Fawcett gets turned around. David Thexton, we're on board with, gets right off on the outside of that fast sweeper, trying to avoid him. Luckily gets back on track, no problem.
We seem to have a bit of in-car footage with David off track. Unfortunate for him there, but hey, avoided the accident. It was always very close.
Still very close between these guys as well. Clark Proctor has a little bit of a break on Andy Anderson, but it's very tight behind. Michael Shepherd trying down the inside, but he is really guarding against Paul Radisich, making a lunge at him, who in turn has Nick Ross trying to find a way by.
Oh, Jared Carlisle, well, loose, overcorrecting, and there's the spin. Oh, he's back into the middle of the track.
Very dangerous. Well, very lucky as well. I think two of the Cat cars just missed him, as well as Julia Hussif, confronted by the side of that Falcon coming right across the track at them.
The Rat's on a charge, wearing a few scars from the earlier incident with Brady Kennett. Left side of the bonnet's looking a bit buckled there, but he's on a mission and he's determined to get through to the lead.
Andy Anderson, the target at the moment. Then, of course, he'll be trying to focus on the man further ahead. Michael Shepherd doing a good job in the Caltex Haviline car as well.
Andrew Anderson guarding the inside line. Watch Paul get the slingshot out of here. If he does this right, he'll sit in the slipstream. As you see him move to the right. No,
already.
Couldn't decide which side to go, but now he goes.
Well, that Falcon has got some serious power, doesn't it? Down the front straight here. Look how quickly he's got past Andy Anderson's Commodore.
That all came from the elbow. Just that little bit of exit speed, he's carried it all the way down.
Yep, well, he's safely done it. There you see the side of the E-frame car now tucked in behind him.
Now we'll be interested to see if he can bridge that gap to Clark Proctor. He's just cleared out in front.
I think the Rat has a sniff of the lead. Back in action halfway through the race, the last race of the day at Teretonga for the Parker NZ V8s. Out front, Clark Proctor, ex-stock car racer, holding off a charge from Paul Radisich, trying to get back in contact and win his second race of the day.
On board with Kane Scott from 10th place, tracking through now to 6th place. He's right on the charge.
Yes, he won the first race of the day, of course, and now he is trying to put to use that good performance he got out of his Commodore in race 1 and race 2, where he was second.
Yes, looking for some points here. Valuable points needed after the disqualification in Timaru. He'll just bide his time, I would say, and work his way into it.
Look how close Radisich is getting to the lead. We just saw him flash past there. So Kane Scott and Radisich, the two movers in the field, and now Radisich right on the back bumper of Clark Proctor's Falcon.
Yes, Clark will be seeing him right there, and here he goes, covering his line into the inside. There'll be a valuable experience here for him, having the twice world touring car champion right up his tailpipe.
Okay, where's it going to happen? Is he going to pull round the outside of him here? Wait for it. Well, he's trying. Proctor on the brakes fairly early, and I think he's left the way clear for Radisich to go around the outside. There's the view from Radisich's car, and he's done it.
That's a classic manoeuvre, and that's one Paul's probably done many a time before. Here we are with Kane Scott now, having a look down the outside of Nick Ross. Same thing. Can he hold it out there?
Ross is going to drive down inside him. No, he doesn't. He gets on the brakes.
And he's gone off.
He's gone. No contact, but he's gone. Oh, what a disaster for Kane Scott. What a way to finish the meeting, because he's not going to get out of there.
Just too hot into there. Looked like he had no touching or anything, just one of those things. Just maybe brakes.
Trying to rev it up and get it out of there. There's no chance at all. Here comes the replay from Paul Pedersen's point of view. Watch what happens. There was no touch there.
Well, he could have got on the marbles, though, and right out there, a lot of loose rubber. That could have contributed to that as well.
He'll be very unhappy with himself.
Yes, all he needed to do was stay in there. Meantime, up front, Paul Radisich is... Well, he's got it pretty well, and all he has to do is hold it now. I mean, amazing. 10th to 1st in a reverse grid.
It is a great performance. Of course, there was a bit of an argy-bargy along the way on that first lap, but there'll be a few unhappy campers, I'd say, within the V8 touring car field that copped the effects of that.
Looking pretty cool in car. Again, Paul's not afraid of a bit of controversy. He's always been known as a hard charger. I know from my days in touring cars, no quarter given. Him and I have had a few skirmishes, so he's no different now. He's still the same old driver.
Paul Pedersen coming down the front straight. Oh, that's Nick Ross he's got past. Looked like Ross slowed suddenly halfway down the front straight.
Definite problem there by the look of things. We'll just have to wait and see what comes out of here.
So Paul Pedersen making good progress through the field as well. But out front, Paul Radisich, second place, Clark Proctor, Andy Anderson in third, Michael Shepherd in fourth. Those places unchanged.
Yes, looks like Craig Boot up there too. That's a great result for him. Struggled in the earlier part of the series, now coming to terms with the car and the class.
Another stock car man, so he and Clark Proctor coming off the dirt into this class. Quite a lot to learn, you'd think. It's quite a bit different.
Yes, this class attracting a number of different drivers from different types of motorsport. Stock cars, single-seaters, obviously touring cars. It's great to see. This is their premier class of motor racing for New Zealand.
Radisich pulling out the gap there. This is on board with Paul Pedersen as he tracks his teammate Craig Boot across the start-finish line again. One more lap gone. Here's a battle for 14th, around 14th, 15th place. That's led by Ashley Hall.
Jared Carlisle.
Oh, Jared Carlisle stepping off the edge of the track there as well.
Again, this is the stage of the race when the tyres are, 4 tyres for the meeting. They're starting to get worn. Here we are on board with Ashley Hall.
Checking the rear vision mirrors because he's got Julia Hussif right tucked in behind him and that pink Commodore as well.
Yes, young Jared Carlisle down the inside. Nice, clean overtaking manoeuvre. Another newcomer to the V8 touring cars. Started in karts, young guy going places in this class.
Yes, in fact, he is the youngest guy in the field, just a teenager, and up against some very experienced hands, including Ashley Hall, who's raced V8 touring cars for quite some time. Not in this class, but earlier on in the New Zealand Touring Car Championship.
And again, Julia Hussif just in behind, another young person, I should say, rather than young girl. doing a good job and really coming to grips with his V8 touring car class. So competitive.
Andrew Fawcett coming back there from towards the back of the field, tucked in behind her, trying to get by as well.
Yes, the Radio Sport car down the inside here. Nice and clean, force the gap, and nice exit.
Back on board with Paul Pedersen. He came into this meeting 5th place and equal 5th in the championship, and now he goes past his teammate. I was going to ask the question, Greg Brink, whether you thought there might be team tactics come into play here, because of course Paul is the man in the team with the best chance of having a tilt at the title.
I'd say at this stage in the season, no. Nick Ross has got a weave on there. He may have a fuel problem by the look of it.
Well, whatever it is, it's really costing him dearly. I saw Dale Lambert just whip past there, so he has lost a lot of ground. There we are. He's resuming again.
Yes, the Team Kiwi have been so consistent to date, so this could be a bit of a dampener on the proceedings for them.
Paul Pedersen again on board with him, up to 4th place now, so that is a good run from right through the field, just like Paul Radisich, to get the lead.
Yes, and again, Paul's looking for some consistency here. This is a stage of the series where really it's important to get some points on the board, and he'll be looking to do that in this reverse grid race. Well,
one thing he has had is consistency, except for the DNF in the first race of the day today, a 10th place in the second race.
You've got to admire this guy, Clark Proctor. Look at him, he's holding down second. It's nice and steady. Andy Anderson sort of holding about the same stay here. But for Clark Proctor, it must be amazing feeling.
Well, he had the feeling of how it is to lead one of these races for quite some time. It's only in the mid-section of this long 16-lap race that Paul Radisich was able to get up there and get by him and now open out quite a good gap. But he has been holding this gap on Andy Anderson, much the same for quite a few laps now.
Giving his sponsor a good bit of exposure. I'm sure they'll be happy with this, especially with the first season in the V8 touring cars.
Too will United Video be happy, because of course their man Mark Pedersen having to stay out of this race, feeling quite ill, or out of this meeting, and Paul Radisich coming home. But of course these points he gathers today don't go towards the championship at all. It is a driver's championship, and now he's going to come through and take the checkered flag, so for his second win of the day. So a good performance from him, showing the flag for the sponsors. Paul Radisich coming through to take win 2.
Yes, 2 wins in a second place. Can't get much better for Paul Radisich.
And Clark Proctor, what a great performance, comes home second ahead of Andy Anderson. Then it's the teammates Paul Pedersen and Michael Shepherd.
Back down the field, the battle for 10th continues into the last corner. David Thexton on board with him here. Nice smooth exit. Michael Tom sitting behind him, looking to pass, but not quite enough momentum. Again, good results for these two guys, consistent performance, 10th and 11th place.
Yes, Michael Tom pulling out wide, but it's not early enough, and a little bit of a wave from David Thexton. He'll be pleased with that. Meantime, carnage around the track being cleaned up. This is Dean Perkins' car. After it flew around that corner onto the front straight, he has a look at the brakes and says, yep, that's what it was.
Here's Kane Scott's car in the sand trap at the end of the main straight. Again, doesn't look like too much damage.
Well, they're the unhappy ones, and here are the happy ones.
What a great start to 04 for me, and hopefully it's an omen that the season's going to be a good one in V8 Supercars. We've got a lot of things going on over the new cars, new team, and you know, we're really going to start to come on strong in the V8 Supercar Championships as the year unwinds.
You don't get a win in one of those reverse top 10 races without a couple of demon passing moves.
It's just awesome fun. I don't think I've had that much fun since BTCC, when we used to do reverse grid races, and it's just a lot of fun. And I know some guys are upset, and someone come up to me and said, look, you know, well, why'd you hit me, da, da, da. Not intention, not on purpose, but when you're trying to go from the back and everybody's so tight, it makes great TV, but you know, if people are not prepared to play, then they shouldn't be there. So you know, that's the way it is.
Clark Proctor, you're pretty new to this game. You'd be pretty pleased to be standing here and getting a podium result.
Absolutely stunned, to tell you the truth. Always thought that I had it in me, but being the new boy on the block, I'm not just the oldest, but this is only my 3rd ever meeting, so in terms of laps on Tar Seal, we've probably only just turned our 200th lap, so it is a surprise, but certainly a really good confidence builder to go on with for the season.
Yeah, I mean, an engine change isn't what we want to do, and we had to do one earlier in the weekend. So yeah, we came back from that. You know, my father Bruce and my crew, along with Michael Wallace Racing, they helped change the engine, and we've been coming back ever since. So the plan was to just salvage as many points as possible, and we certainly come out with a podium finish, which is great.
unfortunately had a complete brake failure and backwards into the tyres, and so yeah, no, it was the end of the race for us.
Confirming the results, it's a win by almost 4 seconds for Paul Radisich over Clark Proctor, with Andy Anderson in third.
Paul Pedersen in fourth place, with his teammate Michael Shepherd in fifth, and Andy Booth from Team Kiwi in sixth.
Craig Booth scored his best result of the season so far with 7th, ahead of Michael Wallace and Dale Lambert.
David Thexton in 10th, another encouraging result, followed by Michael Tom in 11th, and second Team Kiwi driver Nick Ross in 12th.
And in the Parker NZ Championship standings, Andy Booth has a fantastic day to extend his lead over Angus Fogg and Dean Perkins.
Team Kiwi's Nick Ross in 4th place, followed by Paul Pedersen and Andrew Anderson in 6th.
In 7th place now is Wade Henshaw, with Brady Kennett next, and then Kane Scott.
Paul Radisich with 1 meeting in 10th position, followed by Michael Tom and third Team Celtics driver Michael Shepherd in 12th.